So now we're moving on to the pan axis. So grab another motor. It may be marked as pan axis or it might just be another motor. And then grab the rectangular piece that looks like this. This is going to be the bottom pan axis mount. So you'll know the bottom of the motor because it's the part that has this motor lead attached. So if I'm spinning it, this is going to be the bottom. And then when you mount this, you're going to want to flip it upside down so the nuts are facing down. Another thing to be aware of is that this motor lead is coming off of one of the shorter ends of this rectangular piece. So line that up. Again, you can just hand tighten these for right now. And then 2.5 millimeter wrench. Just make sure these are all snug. All right. Now we'll go to the opposite side. Go ahead and grab this piece, which is the top mount for the pan axis. So grab 3 nuts, and you're going to use the 3-hole pattern, which is the smaller 3-hole pattern on this carbon fiber piece. And make sure that the nuts on here are facing down. You can flip it back upside down. Grab 4 of the 25 millimeter clamps and then 37 millimeter bolts. And we'll mount the top carbon fiber boom. So this uses the 7-inch carbon fiber rod, second to largest carbon fiber rod. So I slide it in so it's flush right on the end that the motor lead is sticking out, and you can just stick the motor lead through the carbon fiber rod and get that out of the way. And tighten it up. You want it snug. You don't need to over tighten it. Just make sure that when it is tight, the carbon fiber rod isn't going to slip around. Okay. So this is where your top grip bar is going to be coming out with your handles, and then this is going to be the back handle right here. So we'll go ahead and mount those up. To do that, you're going to need this really weird shaped piece, and this is your 1/4 inch hole that you're going to be able to mount a monitor to. This is the top piece of the whole gimbal. So you need that, and then we'll start with the handle that sticks off the back. So now we're switching to 22 millimeter clamps, and these are aluminum. You'll find 4 sets in your kit. And the 37 millimeter screws. And put that in place. Just hand tighten them for now. Don't tighten any of these with a wrench until all the pieces are in place. So grab the 22 millimeter carbon fiber rod. Slide that in. Might need to pick it up a little bit. And then line it up with just at the end of the 22 millimeter clamp. Just tighten these enough to hold it in place. If you over tighten them, you're not going to get the other carbon fiber rod in. So now, this is 22 millimeter top grip bar that's going to go across right here. Grab a couple more clamps. Just slide these screws down in place. Now that that's there, then you can slide the grip bar so you have it in position where you want it. Ideally, you'll want it centered. Hold that there, and now you can tighten all the screws. And you can tighten the ones on the back as well. Just go around all of them again, make sure they're snug. Again, you don't need to over tighten this. They're aluminum clamps, so if you make it too tight, then it's actually going to dent your carbon fiber. And now, the last thing you need to do on here is attach the grips. So grab your carbon fiber grips, and you'll notice that there's actually a bend in them. And so you want them to angle out to the outside. So since this one has a slight bend like that, I know it's going to go on the right end here. You'll need a 3/16 inch hex screwdriver to tighten these down. And since this is on the end of the carbon fiber tube, make sure you don't tighten it too much. Just secure and then back off. Do the exact same for the other side. If you over tighten this, you have a chance of actually cracking the carbon fiber tube. So just make sure it's not going to slip, and then that should be tight enough. Line it up with the other one, hold it in place, and then tighten it. So now your grips are on there, and your top pan and grip bar are in place. So you can just go ahead and set these aside, and we'll come back to them. Now we're going to move on to the roll axis, which is one of the more difficult axes to assemble. You'll grab this back control board mount and grab the last motor, and you'll again see multiple hole patterns on here. You're going to want the smaller square, just going around there. And this mounts to the bottom of the motor, if you remember from the previous motor. I also make sure that the motor lead is just coming right off to the side of this control board mount. Grab 4 more screws. If you want to use Loctite on all the screws, you can. If you're going to be flying a multi-rotor and there's going to be vibration, then it might, might actually be beneficial to use Loctite on these screws. Now what we're going to do is attach the 30mm spacers, which are going to come off of these 2 holes right here. And they're going to go in the direction. So this is actually going to be a spacer for the motor, so they're going to come off like this. Let's grab 6mm nuts. And tighten those on. All these parts are going to be different attachments for the roll axis. So you're going to grab this inner roll mount, which has multiple hole patterns, and you're going to use the triangular inner 3 holes, which you can see there. Okay, so now we'll work on the outer roll mount. So grab the other piece. Looks very similar to this one, but you don't have the hole pattern right here. And then grab 4 black 10mm spacers. And 4 more screws. They're 6mm. And for this, it's very simple. Just stick the screw through and attach the spacer. Do it for all 4 holes. Okay. Set that aside for just a minute. And now these are the center roll attachments, and they're going to clamp onto the vertical boom. So we'll build that. Grab these and 4 more 25 millimeter clamps. And grab 2 37 millimeter screws. And with the flange bearing, the flange facing out, put the screw through. Place your clamps on. And we'll go ahead and attach this. You should have 2 more 40 millimeter screws, and these go in the top holes. So now the 40 millimeter screws are going to screw into these 30 millimeter spacers. So we'll go ahead and just set it on top and lightly screw that in. Grab the smallest 25 millimeter carbon fiber rod, which is about 4 inches long. And this is the vertical boom that goes in here. Slide that in, and depending on how much clearance you want for your camera, I just slide it down to the end of this clamp. So don't have it hang too low, just go right to the end there and tighten these down. Now you need to go through these 2 bearings with the steel shaft. It's right here. And the shaft is 50 millimeters and in length and 5 millimeters wide. And then there's a shaft clamp, which you will put on right when you slide this through. So drop it down through the bearings. And when it gets on the other side, then put the shaft clamp on and push it all the way through. So have it go all the way through until it touches this carbon fiber piece. So once it's on that side, slide the shaft clamp all the way to the opposite side, to the outer edge. And this is where you need the 1.5 millimeter hex wrench. So have it right up against the bearing and then tighten that down. Okay, so now that's not going anywhere. Now we need to attach the outer roll plate, and this is going to go right on top here. Grab 4 more 25 millimeter clamps and 4 more 37 millimeter screws. And now we can set this plate on top. Flip it over, and you can screw them in. Just enough to hold it in place, and then we'll put the carbon fiber rod through. Okay. So with your last 25 millimeter rod, it's about 10 inches long. This is going to be the roll bar, so slide this through. And this is how you're actually going to be adjusting the roll axis, so it balances for your camera. With most cameras, you need it a little off-center, so I'll just put it about there for now, and we can fine-tune it later. Once everything is all tightened down, then your roll axis is complete, and it should be nice and free flowing like this. There shouldn't be any resistance, because that's going to end up making the roll motor have to work harder than it should. So you'll know when it's all done when you have this nice free flowing. And we'll set that aside for right now.